Hello, hello, July 9th astrology. So let's talk about what's going on today. Moon's moving into Virgo. It's Cancer season. You've got Venus in Cancer, but remember it's North Node Chiron in Aries. And so even though we want comfort, it's going to be a busy type of day. We got to get stuff done. We got to try not to stress and remember to breathe and take lots of action, essentially, is really what the name of the game is. It seems like the feminine energy is a little bit more challenged right now because with that South Node in Libra, which is deposited by that Venus over in Cancer with the Sun, the comfort, the peaceful sunsets, connected relationships, it only really comes from facing the weird wounds. And with Chiron in Aries, that we all have an individual path, that we all have free will, and that may not always be in alignment with every partnership or with every energy that we're wanting to feel good. I would really describe this astrology, especially with that moon in Virgo, as the peace and comfort can come through the present moment of things, where we kind of like find our flow, where, it reminds me of like driving over like rough terrain, even if it feels like you're in a dangerous area where you've got to have courage to go through the uncertainty with Mars approaching Uranus. But it's like a trust, it's an intuitive knowing, like I'm going to be okay. I'm willing to drive the rough terrain, whether that can feel physical, of like the reflections in your reality of like some relationship or money, prosperity, situation, something feeling like slower block with Saturn retrograde and Neptune retrograde now in Pisces. And actually ebb and flow with the emotions as well. Like you only need to go as deep really as what the physical reality is reflecting back, especially like in the environment. I think the biggest thing to focus on besides that is just remembering Jupiter's at fall in Gemini. It doesn't really like to be here because Jupiter wants everything. It wants the all, and Gemini is the small. So it's like we have to find the all in the small, and really sort of like really basic thinking processes, not to get overwhelmed, to start with gratitude, to start with just like what's in my immediate field that is the next step in my journey, and to like not get overwhelmed with like too many thoughts going into the future, especially also with that, again, Mars approaching Uranus, that this could be some really feel good energy. There might be a few, lows here and there, but think of it as like the lows were built into the level, to the leveling up of things, that it's not just about the accomplishment of things. It's not just about the connection of the relationships or just the physical. It's like finding that middle ground between it's a holographic reality and we live in a physical reality and we have needs and we've got to meet those, but also like to not give too much connection, too much power away to it. And I think even that Pluto retrograde in Aquarius is reminding us like we can connect our drive, our life force energy to any frequency that we want, and it's up to us to kind of go within and go, okay, like what's ebbing and flowing through me, what's the current going through me, do I like this? And just really like choosing to go higher, choosing to find a better, more potent route in our reality. I think this is where the cream starts to rise to the top, because we're in this less than 2 month period before Pluto comes back into Capricorn. And so, we can't like wait for something in the fall. We can't like wait till next year. We kind of just have to keep doing very similar things to like what we've been doing. But if anything, it's, finding the courage, finding the natural just flow and essence in your schedule and your day-to-day life, and just staying present with it, to be like, okay, like I've got the resources, I've got everything I need to keep going. I don't know exactly where it's going, but you do the stuff that you feel the most connected to, like whether that's your job, a path of service, it's like whatever it is that feels like connected, you take care of yourself along the way. And then that's like where Mars approaching Uranus can be, positive. disruptions or shocks where it actually like moves you out of the reality that you're in, and where with Jupiter and Gemini, it's like, oh, cool. Like the circumstances can be more abundant. The circumstances can change. I did get this little gift. This little thing showed up. This conversation showed up. This way of looking at things is changing my lens, just because it's really a lot about like the attitude of things right now, and so much like the physical accomplishment of it. And I think it's all teaching us how to just be emotionally satisfied in ourselves, especially like privately too, that this is like where, again, we can't try to find too much comfort in our outside like relationships. We almost have to go more into the privacy of our own individuality and stay connected to our nourishing roots and go, okay, I'm plotting, I'm planning for the long term. I was talking to someone about this yesterday. It was like a group, actually. It was like, you know, we're in 2024 now, going into 2025. The world has not ended yet. There's still challenges in the world, but like in terms of your personal reality, it's like keep picking up the pieces of wherever it is that you're feeling stuck or lethargic and don't want to show up, and just find a way to overcome that sensitivity and show up anyway, even though sometimes there's going to be moments where you are wanting things to go well and you're wanting to thrive, but it still feels like a physical survival piece. That's that Chiron and North Node in Aries. And so there's a deep acceptance there, like of that wound, that, you know, we still exist in a reality where we have to like survive and find our physical like needs being met. And that's not always going to look perfect. It's not going to be a cookie cutter, perfect spiritual, you know, path of like enlightenment or manifestation. It's going to be more disruptive and messy right now. And so it's really the name of the game. It's like, it sounds simple, but with Mars approaching Uranus, we almost have to just like surrender to the monkey wrench of the manifestation of the physical reality and just be simple and be humble and just be like, okay, what am I creating? What am I doing? Watch out for that, you know, people pleasing shit, and just like go out and do your thing. And even if that feels disruptive at times or chaotic, it's like, you don't need to call in the disruption. I think that would be ego, but I think it's more just like being okay with like the disruptive elements of things, that sometimes in order to like create a better world, a better reality, just even more consistency of your life, of like better quality things, it's honoring when things break down or need to break apart or move around. And, you know, Jupiter and Gemini change is a really good thing, even if it's little subtle changes. So love you all. If you guys want to get an astrology reading, you can pop into a link I'm going to post down below. Also stay tuned. I'm going to be, I'm actually probably about 20%, to be honest, of the way through it, an ebook that I'm going to have for sale that teaches you how to read your own natal chart, the planets, the houses, what they mean in the different zodiac signs, you know, sun, moon, north node, south node, Chiron, just all this stuff basically for anyone who's either at a beginner level of wanting to understand their astrology of like their birth chart, or you're just like, you know, more intermediate and you're like wanting insight from an astrologer that's been doing this for 6.5 years now and want to like get that baseline understanding like of who you are. That way, you know, eventually you can start to build upon that knowledge of understanding the cycles that you're in. So stay tuned for that. All right. Have a great July 9th. It's Tuesday.